name is Haskins, and I'm one of the co-founders. You're very welcome, Bill. I'm one of the co-founders of the Bridge Club with my partner over here, Brenda and Andresen. The Bridge Club was originally created for all of us to connect, engage, learn, and grow. This is a true testament of exactly what this is and what we were hoping to do. After tonight, I do hope you all go onto thebridgeclub.com. We have an incredible, robust agenda coming forward. It's really exciting. We have even more topics coming as a result of this conference. It is with my great pleasure I turn this over to my partner to unveil why we did the Icon series and who our great icon is. So, Brenda?
So, the Bridge Club created the industry icon to represent what we feel is good about people who are contributing to the future of the veterinary profession, now and going forward. It's not about who did something in days past, it's about what is going on right now in our profession, and the people who are really making a difference. Beyond that, it's about people that we ourselves kind of geek out about a little bit. You know, Catherine and I realized we know an awful lot of people, and virtually 90% of you in the room are people we adore and feel like we can walk up to and have a conversation with. We wanted to bring that same experience with other people in the industry for our membership, for people that they felt represented all the things that are good, right? So it's not just what you've accomplished as a business person, but what you've accomplished as an individual as well. In the Bridge Club, we say we are people first, professionals second, and we are really excited to have chosen as our first industry icon someone that we believe truly exemplifies person first, business person second. So it is with our profound great pleasure, and as I said, total geekiness, that we introduce Kristin Peck, Group President, I'm saying that wrong now, it's good, okay, of Zoetis US, and a truly inspirational woman for each of us. She's someone that I like and selfishly hope I can have as a mentor someday. So I will give this to Kristin now, and thank you again so much for saying yes.
I'm so honored to be here, and you know, when she offered it to me, I was a little bit dumbfounded. But what I loved most about the invitation was the mission of the Bridge Club, to connect and learn and grow with others, because I think that's what actually drives me as a person. I think the people that I've chosen to surround myself with have defined who I am today. I have taken every job in my career based on the leader that I had the opportunity to work with. And it wasn't just that I could learn something from business, it's that I respected them as a human being. So this is really important to me to sort of, you know, make sure that I pay it forward and I give it back and share at least a little bit about sort of what drives me, and that was sort of what I was sort of asked to do. My goal tonight is just a few opening comments. I'll talk a little bit about I think the 5 capabilities that as leaders right now in the veterinary profession that I think we need, and I think there are 5 at least that I personally have been working on. I hope to tell a few stories, and then I hope we get a really good dialogue in the room. I'm honored that I call many of you in this room friends, and I know you have a lot of really good stories about me. Just remember what's appropriate in setting what's not. Mark, David, wherever you were there, yeah, no inappropriate stories. They've already warned me, so they said they'll try to behave. But I guess I look at my career path, and you know, I am truly honored to be in the position I am right now at Zoetis, and I'm very proud to be in this role. But there was no straight path for me to get here, as I'm sure there was no straight path for any of you to get where you got. And I always say that you know, happiness in life is a lot about, you know, dealing with unexpected uncertainties and challenges with a sense of humor and a bit of optimism, because adversity is going to be there no matter what we do. And the question really is just how we react to that. And I think great leaders are not just defined by the destination they reach, but by who they bring along with them and how they make those people feel. And so my goal as a leader is that I inspire those around me. I sort of define my own brand. We did an exercise internally about a year or 2 ago about defining your brand. And if you know me, you'd probably say this is true about me. I am a very passionate, curious, and driven person. I love solving complex problems by inspiring teams to do their best. And that, if I did that every day, I would feel great. And I think as professionals right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world we live in. So there's always the personal uncertainty, whether that be about family or health or moves or careers. There's certainly economic uncertainty. Where's GDP going? Is consumer spend going to increase? What's going to happen to my practice? For those of us on the livestock side, geopolitical is pretty big these days. Tariffs, trade. I feel like I talk a lot about that these days. But there's other types of uncertainties, whether that be technology, telemedicine, as we'll talk about more hopefully tonight. Lots of trends in technology and social media. How do I really think about my presence, my practice's presence, my personal presence? How do I engage differently? And I think you can either see these uncertainties as risks or challenges, or you can see them as opportunities. And I guess what I'm trying to do as a leader in my organization is to build optionality, is to build a set of capabilities that let us thrive in this environment. Because I think these uncertainties, can really help you leapfrog others and competitors if you embrace them. So what I've been talking about are sort of 5 capabilities, and I'll talk a little about each and then open it up, because I'd love to hear whether A, these capabilities resonate with each of you, and probably more importantly, I'd love to hear your stories about some of these. The first is frustrated optimism. And some people think that's really like a weird thing to say. And people know me, I'm an optimist, but I always think there's a better way of doing things. And I think that's the kind of, I think you're not necessarily born with it, but it can be trained, which is constantly thinking about everything you do, can I do it a little bit better? And that's the kind of people that I want to surround myself with. But there's people who believe the future is going to be great, but think they have an idea on how to make it better. I remember when I took over this role, I followed a guy named Ted Lewis, and he did a great job, and everything was going awesome, and I thought, awesome. So my job is don't screw this up. That wasn't so inspiring, it might have seemed it. But we had this little implementation of an SAP system that may or may not have gone so well, as many of you know. And to me, it was, can I do even better? And I guess I looked at customer experiences at first when I joined, which is, can we not piss everybody off, right? So that was a low bar, right? But we can do better. How about not just we don't have problems, but are we delighting people? And the more I've learned about customer experience, the more, there's constantly more we can be doing as an organization. But it takes, for starters, like, we can solve this problem and not piss off customers. Then it was, we can make customers happy, and now I want to delight them. And so I say that because it's a capability we can build in our organizations. The second, which has been hugely important in my career, is diverse networks. I really think that our ability as leaders to look at uncertainty and see where it is opportunity and how we navigate it is by surrounding ourselves with people with very different perspectives. We can certainly talk about diversity in the sense of race or sex, but it's also people with just different backgrounds from different countries having different experiences. And I've really benefited personally, and I think our company has benefited a lot by having a lot of diverse perspectives. Right now, as I think about some of the radical shifts, and I actually do think some of them are radical, we can engage in as a group later, with regards to telemedicine, home delivery, things that are really going to change practices very quickly. I need a lot of perspectives. How is that going to happen? And how do I help enable our customers to be successful? How is Zoetis going to be successful in this environment? And the reality is nobody exactly knows how it's going to play out. So the more people I speak to, the more perspectives I get, the more people I can engage, we can help shape that environment. And so I really do feel like having a diverse network of people who have different perspectives, and I don't want to get political, but especially in the polarized world we live in, really, listening to them. And that gets to my third, which is selfless communication, which is building relationships with people based on trust, and really listening. It's a lot about listening. And I've been fortunate to have, and some of my members of my leadership team are here, just a phenomenal leadership team that I think trust each other, and that I can count on. But to get slightly personal, because I was told I was supposed to, / they encouraged me to get personal. We won't get too personal, I promise. But one of the, I have what I call a virtual board, who advises me in my career. And sometimes they're my friend, but when I call and say, this is a board meeting, there's not really anybody else other than them on the call, but I say, I really want your selfless opinion on this. And you have to have people that you really trust. And at one point in my career, when I was at Pfizer, a new CEO took over, and he wanted to install his people, and I was going to get demoted, and I did get demoted. Call it what it is, I'm going to say, call it what it was. And I was pretty annoyed, because I felt like I had done a really good job, and I had strong performance, and this was just not fair. But life's not fair, and most people who loved me were like, you tell them, screw it, tell them to give you a goddamn package and you get out of there. So I called my board because I was like, yeah, I want them to tell me that. She's going to tell me that. And she goes, grow up. I was like, grow up? And she said, welcome to the big leagues. You have to prove to a new leader that you're the person, and you need to go in there tomorrow and you need to say, I believe in you, and I am psyched to be a part of your team, and I will demonstrate that I'm valuable. And just, those three things in a sentence weren't really what I was thinking about saying the next time. But they were the best advice I ever got, and I can promise you I would not be standing here today had I not gotten that advice and had I not listened. And that was a risky thing to say to me because I was pretty pissed when I called. But I trusted her tremendously. She'd always give me great advice, and she knew who I was as a human being and my values, and she said, I know you're humiliated at this moment, but you need to get over yourself, and this is the way the real world works. And I will say it was some of the best advice I've ever gotten. I also think organizations today need a lot of agility. You need to be able to react quickly as you see trends, and that's, again, I think something you can train an organization to do, which is we can't boil the ocean with everything. There's got to be a little bit of this 80-20, and you got to be able to pivot. And we've been talking a lot about the role of pet owners and how much more they're involved in the decisions on the healthcare of their pets and how they want to engage very differently with companies like Zoetis. Until about a year and a half ago, we didn't really engage with pet owners or consumers. We didn't do direct-to-consumer advertising. We had a few pet owner programs. They were numerous, complicated, and probably frustrated most vets because there were so many programs from 9,000 companies. And really we came to as a company, if we want to embrace pet owners, we need one simplified program, and we need to shut all of our programs down and move to that and embrace it. And it was, getting an organization's head around that A, you can pivot, and that you can take a risk. And I do think that's something that, I'm trying to make sure at Zoetis we try to do, but I think as leaders. And the last thing is proven resilience. I think, we're not, all those risks that we may choose to take in an organization may or may not make it. And I think it's our ability to bounce back when things don't go as you see, and to stop complaining and laying blame, but really try to, again, listen and make a choice and be an optimist and go after that. And probably I would say, some of you know I wrote a book, and it's called Perseverance, but it's about me forming this when it came to starting a family. I was, what many people thought my career was going awesome. I mean, I had a phenomenal marriage to a man I'm still married to that I love, Bob. I had a great job in management consulting. Things were going awesome. On the outside, you're like, wow, she must be rocking it. But the honest answer was I was failing at the thing that was most important to me, which was having a family. I'd suffered 3 miscarriages, I'd done 2 IUIs, 3 IVFs, and I was not becoming a mom. And there came a point where I had to ask whether or not traveling all the time in management consulting was consistent with another one of my goals, and whether I could redefine myself in a new way to go after what matters to me most, which is to be a mom. And most people thought I was crazy, but I said, you know what, this matters to me. I can't do this and travel and have clients. And I moved to Pfizer, and we could have that conversation. Many people are like, you are nuts, because not only did I move to Pfizer, I moved into HR strategy. I never worked in HR, but it was one of the best 2 years since learning about managing people and inspiring people that I've had. And I encourage you to sort of go after what matters to you. I made that decision to join Pfizer, and I am thrilled to say that 5 months later, I was on a flight to Dallas to adopt my daughter, and 9 months later, I delivered my son. So I say, you never know what life's going to give you, but if you're optimistic about how you go after it, if you really look at building a diverse network and getting perspectives, and you selflessly communicate with others, which is sometimes telling people what they don't want to hear, but most importantly, for those you trust listening when they tell you something you don't want to hear, I think we can all be the leaders we want to be. So I'd love to open it up for questions. I feel like I put enough meat out there that you can hang yourself. Oh God. Do I do it? Mark?
You're going to like it. You're going to like it.
I'll talk without a mic. So I asked the question, Kristin, mindful that you're my client, that could be a short-term relationship. But I'm more mindful that you have a sense of humor, which I've been accused of occasionally. So I've been fortunate enough to go to the Zoetis Companion Animal Leadership Forums. And the first one Kristin hosted, Clint had moved to, where's Clint live these days? Anyway, she has this group of about 35, of folks who had never been asked to do this in their life. And she said, to get this started, it was after lunch. And after lunch, things are a little slow and whatever. And Zoetis does one thing, it feeds you well. So everybody's pretty well fed. And she told the group, I think we need to do a plank. Now, 75% of the room thought, what the F is a plank? What is it a meet your neighbor, kind of Banfield on your feet fun experience? What was it? And she got on the ground. She was dressed stylishly as always, and she basically showed this room of, I'd say 70-30 men to women, how a plank worked. It was an excellent plank. I'm authority on planks. It was a solid plank. So that's my question.
So the funny thing about that story is that a year before, we had our first one, and one of our customers that came, and the theme was well-being. I think back then it was wellness, but I've told people no longer it's well-being. It's not well-being, it's not wellness. So, and this one customer who, by the way, I totally thought was crazy, was talking about how he thinks about wellness in his practice, and he says at noon every day, the whole practice planks. Yes, exactly, Martin is amazing. And I was like, really? And I think that's sort of odd. And I'm not really sure that really helps, but he made us do it. And of course, the customer tells you to do something, you're like, absolutely. So we all got on the ground, and it was actually sort of interesting. It made you pause as a human being for a minute that day and just be present. And by the way, everyone was laughing because it's super awkward, by the way, on the ground with other people. So you smiled, actually. It kind of drew a little bit of happiness, which sounds odd. And we liked it so much we tried it the second day. So at that meeting, it's sort of normal. But we got to the meeting the next year, but there was a lot of new people, so nobody knew about the plank. So they definitely thought we were crazy. But the funny thing I will say is I think a lot of our customers who went to that meeting now do it. As most people know at Zoetis, on my floor, on the second floor, we plank every day, as some people in the room know. And really, it's never available. It's not required, but I see it as almost like my version of a 1-minute meditation, laugh, and literally everyone's on the same level. It doesn't matter who you are, and those are some skirts and balls in it if it seems inappropriate to plank and skirt. But I do think it's about having a little humor and a little levity in your world and just grounding yourself, literally going back to your core. So to me, it's both a metaphor as well as, yes, you get a minute plank, but I also feel like it's my little bit moment to, as stressful as my day is, take all that tension and stick it in my core and try to get a nice looking ab for it.
Zoetis has always said it's about the veterinarian. And if the veterinarian doesn't succeed, then Zoetis doesn't succeed. But I wonder if you could share with us any examples you have of trying to work with and build diverse networks where you can choose your one, either a great success where it wasn't expected, or a real challenge you had working with trying to build a diverse network and things either fell apart or it didn't go as well as you expected.
Sure. Well, I think I'll do a live one that I'm living every day, and I don't think we've been successful yet, but I do think it's an example of why we need to listen, which is the U.S. trade tariff situation, both in NAFTA and China. A lot of our agricultural customers, and I know they you're partnered with, they were Trump voters, and they're highly supportive. And some of those customers are, really suffering dramatically by some of the tariffs that are already in place. For those who aren't following some of this, right now, pork into China's got a 62% tariff. And by the way, the good news for all of you, that may mean pork's going to get really cheap for the next year. Which maybe your chicken's going to get really cheap, and that'll be like low cost. But when they're your customers, and I think what's different about Zoetis is, most of our customers are smaller companies, so we have, operations, obviously Mark and others, in the state and federal level to lobby, and I feel like it's our job to be lobbying on their behalf, but I need to hear their interests and what's on their minds and how they want to position it. And it's hard because we have beef, we have dairy, we have pork, and we have poultry, and they have, by the way, very different experiences through this. But you have to bridge a divide both politically from both sides. I mean, you have your Democrats and Republicans, probably you can add more Republicans. But you have to be able to bring them all together, and I then have a lot of pressure from my investors when we're out at conferences and helping to explain and interpret what's happening, which is super complex. And it's an uncertainty, but we try to talk about turning, optionality. How do you think about this for different producers? By the way, the good news is they're going to lock in really low prices in soybeans, guys. I mean, right now, there's a huge tariff in China on soybeans, and soybean prices have hit. And so my response to producers is, let's listen, and there's stress and there's uncertainty, but here's where you can take an advantage. Here's where you can hedge, and I think so much what we're trying to work through and trying to be a business partner to is be that bridge between, and I think that's where honestly it is a lot about diverse networks and also just trying to truly listen. Because you think some of my board of directors think that most of my customers are super angry and they want us to fight this stuff. To be honest, a lot of our customers don't think that. They're like, look, it's going to be short-term pain, but I want my markets opened up, and I believe ultimately what Trump says is going to be good for me. And so it's a bridge. And I have to say, it takes listening, because you have to take your own personal beliefs sometimes and put them aside and say, what do my customers need me to do, and what is in the best interest of them and their colleagues. People's jobs are at risk in some of this. So I just want to say it's a real life. We got to make sure we do the right thing by our customers and by our stakeholders. It's not always an easy thing. And I feel like this is one where working with lots of industry associations has been a big part of what we're doing. National Pork Board, Poultry Council, NCBA. We got to really work the networks and hope you do the right thing. But to me, hopefully we'll come up with a more balanced answer versus the political rhetoric. That's what we're trying to do.